Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osman. In today's episode, we put a spotlight on beachside activity with a new lifeguard station and the announcement of additional lifeguard tryouts. In Solutions for Your Life, we take a look at a new financial education class available for county residents. Those segments, news, and Joanne Magley's conversation with Volusia County Economic Development Director Rob Ehrhardt coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. Local chamber members, elected officials, and other community supporters turned out recently to the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Flagler Avenue Lifeguard Station in New Smyrna Beach. The 1,800-square-foot building next to the Flagler Avenue Beach Approach is the new headquarters for the Beach Safety Division's Southeast Volusia operations.
We're celebrating a building, but it's more than that. This represents the commitment that Volusia County has to our citizens, to our beach patrol, to safety, to access, to everything that defines us as New Smyrna Beach on the beach front on this area. So we're looking at a building, but it's more than a building. It's the people. It's the people that are here. It's our great patrol. It's our great lifeguards.
The Cape Cod-style building blends in well with the charming beachside community in New Smyrna Beach. It provides office space, a small kitchen, and locker rooms for more than 40 full-time and part-time lifeguards who patrol the beach in Southeast Volusia. The previous beach office, which was built in the 1950s, was demolished by the city of New Smyrna Beach because it had developed structural problems.
Certainly there's people that grew up and worked their careers out of that station. So yeah, I think probably at the open house you're probably going to see some of those old-time lifeguard guys come back down there and see the new station and probably drool over it and be in envy because they would like to have had something like that when they were going through their careers. But you know, it's a change of times, and it was time for a new station. And it was time to just upgrade some of the things that we needed down there, and it's going to be a good addition to Volusia County.
The Volusia County Council approved the construction of the $685,000 building in 2015. Do you love the sun, surf, and sand? If so, it's not too late to apply for a summer job as a part-time lifeguard. Volusia County's Beach Safety Division has expanded its efforts to hire summer lifeguards by adding 12 tryouts and a third recruitment class to its schedule. The final swim tryouts will be offered around the county every Saturday in May. Those who qualify must take a week-long class beginning June 13th and complete a 40-hour first responder CPR course. Volusia County's lifeguards have a long and distinguished history of service, watching over the 9 million people who visit the county's beaches every year.
If you remember, last Memorial Day weekend was probably one of the busiest weekends we've had in years. We rescued more than 600 people out of the water throughout the whole weekend. So we're looking for a responsible, athletic type individual that is willing and wants to work outdoors. Pretty much working on the beach during the summer is the best job going right now. We have one of the best beaches on the East Coast. So it's a great job, it's fun, there's a lot of camaraderie.
Applicants must be at least 16 on or before June 1st and be able to swim 500 meters in under 10 minutes. They also must be able to swim 50 yards in under 30 seconds and run a half mile in under 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Starting pay is $9.85 an hour or $10.25 an hour with EMT certification. For more information, you can visit volusia.org/beach or you can call 386-239-6414. And McFall, an important part of Volusia County's political landscape for nearly 3 decades, has retired amid kudos from the general public and other elected officials. McFall served citizens with dignity and integrity as a member of the Volusia County School Board, the Volusia County Council, and most recently as Supervisor of Elections. The Volusia County Council recognized her during its most recent County Council meeting, commending her for her dedicated service.
Someday people will look back and understand what the county went through for almost 10 years on the largest downturn in American history, and I really don't think people appreciate what it took to get through that And Ann was one of those people, especially, and I really want to thank her for her help in helping me and helping the rest of the council and the rest of the county government, so that we became, I think, a model for the state, where we were the one county that you didn't see any arguments among elected officials.
McFall developed a yen for public service in the 1980s and won her first election as a member of the Volusia County School Board. During her 8 years on the board, she commemorated Deltona High School and went on to open 11 more schools across the county. Next up was the Volusia County Council, where McFall served from 1997 to 2002, with her final year as chairman. As the county council representative to the county's canvassing board, she oversaw the vote count for the infamous 2000 presidential election, which pitted George W. Bush against Al Gore.
Well, you have over 170 precincts, each with a couple thousand votes in it. Some as little as 200 votes, some as high as 3,000 votes. We have to go through each and every ballot that was generated and count whether it was Bush, Gore, or one of the minor parties. That's a lot of paper.
So why did the board unanimously go for it?
It's critical to protect the integrity of the voting precincts, of the voting in Volusia County and the voting in the state of Florida.
The 2000 election was a life-changing experience for McFall, who went on to run for Supervisor of Elections, a position she held for the last 12 years.
Well, it's the adrenaline flowing the closer you get to an election. The supervisor has 47 time certain dates. If you miss one of the 47 dates, you don't have your election. And that's a lot on your shoulders, on anyone's shoulders. So you got to get good people. You can't do it by yourself. There's always close recounts in Volusia County because of the registered voters, the Dems and the Republicans. So that's going to continue to happen.
During her tenure, she found innovative ways to improve election practices and was instrumental in purchasing user-friendly voting equipment and an advanced tabulation system.
My first act of business was to move the Department of Elections back into the historic courthouse, followed by buying new equipment. Then we came up with a touchscreen hybrid system. People didn't like the touchscreen, so that's 2005, my first act of duty. My last act of duty is buying voting equipment, which we bought this past year and used it in the presidential preference primary. So the voting equipment that we have now is probably 10-year life. So the next supervisor's probably going to have to buy voting equipment. The millennials of the world want to vote on their cell phone. They don't need a paper anymore. That's the old way of doing it. And I imagine the next purchase will be some sort of handheld device.
Governor Rick Scott has appointed Lisa Lewis to serve as interim supervisor of elections until the November election. With more than 1,200 tornadoes annually, the United States has more of these severe weather events than any other place in the world. In today's Business Beat, Joanne Magley has more on a new Smyrna Beach business that is manufacturing a unique shelter from the storm.
Sarah and Stephen Dougherty are the husband and wife team behind Dougherty Manufacturing in New Smyrna Beach, which builds Lifepods shelters. They started their business in late 2013, taking their 30-plus years in the boating industry and using those same principles to design, engineer, and build high-end quality storm shelters.
Well, I came from the boat industry, and I was looking for something to do, and watching the news, there was a lot of destruction in the Midwest, and it just seemed like there was a need for some high-quality tornado shelters. And I knew I could do a good job manufacturing them like a boat out of fiberglass.
Lifepod makes shelters for 4 to 14 people, giving families a safe place to wait out a potentially deadly tornado. Lifepod shelters are fiberglass boxes designed to be buried in the ground. They have ventilation and reinforced doors and are designed to withstand a Category 5 tornado.
The other shelters that are on the market are concrete shelters that are very porous, hold a lot of moisture and mold, and they're uncomfortable when somebody has to use them. There are steel shelters that rust and are very expensive. And with the fiberglass shelter, it's very clean. It's a great material to be buried underground. And our shelters are different in that we build them with a high level of quality, like you would see in a high-end powerboat.
The company produces 250 shelters and ships to mainly Midwestern states, areas prone to devastating tornadoes. A typical shelter installed costs about $7,000 to $8,000.
The largest shelter is a 14-person shelter, and that's good for a small business, a convenience store, something like that. Some places will install 2 of the shelters. We've had a fire station install 2 shelters. And we're designing and currently tooling up for a large shelter that would work for schools.
Storm shelters aren't the only products by Daugherty Manufacturing. The company also builds aluminum truck bodies and manufactures parts for other companies. Daugherty Manufacturing employs 30 people, and while the company is only a year and a half old, the owners are optimistic.
We're definitely looking forward to expanding. This is kind of an embryo of a company right now, and we're just getting started and getting warmed up. We're signing dealers and trying to get a name out there. And we're hoping next year we'll be doing 3 times the volume of this year.
For the Business Beat, I'm Joanne Magley.
This week on Solutions for Your Life, Lisa Hamilton, University of Florida IFAS Extension Agent in Volusia County, introduces a new financial education program available at no cost to Volusia County residents.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hamilton, University of Florida IFAS Extension Agent in Volusia County. Did you know that the Extension Service provides financial education? Today, I'll introduce Roads to Financial Health, a new program available at no cost to residents of Volusia County. Are you or someone you know experiencing financial difficulties as a result of a life change? Life can change suddenly as a result of a medical crisis or loss of a job, and the financial impacts can be very stressful. Even life achievements, like graduating from college, getting married, or buying a house, offer financial challenges. Trying to learn new financial habits during a crisis or a life change is very difficult, but it can be done and help is available. Beginning in May, residents of Volusia County can attend financial classes and receive one-on-one financial coaching at no cost for up to 6 months. Roads to Financial Health is a new partnership between the County of Volusia Community Assistance, the United Way Campaign for Working Families, and the UF IFAS Extension. We are reaching out to people who need financial education as a result of a change in life circumstances, and we welcome anyone who wants to participate. The service is open to all residents of the county. Eligibility is not based on income, and there is no cost to anyone. We do ask that you commit to the program by attending 1 class per week for 6 weeks and working with a coach at least once per month for 6 months. Participants will attend classes and work with a certified financial coach to set financial goals and develop plans to meet those goals. For example, many people want to increase their credit scores. The first class will focus on how credit scores are determined, and participants will learn how to pull their own credit score and then work one-on-one with a coach to create an individual plan to improve the score. Other classes include identity theft, how to protect yourself, and how to respond if your identity is compromised, how to maximize your income and keep more of your money, how to use credit wisely, and budgeting during a crisis or every day. So, if you have debt and need help managing it to be able to retire, buy a house, or pay for college, if you're graduating from college and entering the workforce with student loan debt, if you are facing financial challenges following a medical crisis or a death in your family, or if you need help to recover financially from a job loss or divorce, this program may be right for you. So if you'd like to improve your financial situation, contact me at the University of Florida IFAS Extension in Volusia County. With Solutions for Your Life, I'm Lisa Hamilton.
It's time to head into the studio and join the Director of Community Information, Joanne Magley, and her guest, Volusia County Director of Economic Development, Rob Ehrhardt.
Thanks, Amber. The economic news across the country and in Volusia County continues to be very positive. Today, we'll look at the key economic influences for the local economy for the first quarter of 2016. So joining us in the studio today is Rob Ehrhardt, Director of the county's Economic Development Division. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Joanne. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So every quarter you give an economic update to the Volusia County Council and to the general community, and you just did your update last week. What was the general theme of this quarter's update?
General theme is steady as she goes. Things are very positive locally and generally positive, in my view, across the country. U.S. GDP has just been reported for the first quarter of 2016. It was a bit tepid at 0.5%, but it was an increase, and it's in keeping with what we've seen in the first quarter of our prior year. So I think that's a good note.
So locally, give us the picture locally. How are we doing locally here in Volusia County?
So come down to the state of Florida and then Volusia County, consumer spending is off just a little bit for the most recent report out of University of Florida's Bureau of Economic Business Research. But again, that's generally a positive story. It's at 90, has been for several months. And I think we see that reflected locally. Quite a bit of consumer spending out. As we know, 70% of the local economy, the state economy, the national economy is driven by consumerism. So we're seeing that across the board here in Volusia County with various types of businesses.
So let's talk now about the construction industry. A few years back during the recession, you know, they had a big hit, but in the last few years, things have really been bustling. Start with residential permits. How are we doing where residential permits are concerned?
Well, the news is so good on residential new construction permits that I want to be sure I don't get the number wrong. So in the first quarter of 2016, there were 437 permits for, again, new construction in the residential space. By comparison, we've not seen that kind of number since the third quarter of 2007, when there were 518 permits.
Wow, that's a big jump for that many years. So with all that new construction, it would seem then that the inventory of existing homes is probably down.
Actually, it's still very competitive. I'm told in the 4 to 5 month range of inventory. And if your home is, if you're trying to sell your home and it's priced right, I have several anecdotal pieces of information that say it won't stay on the market very long. In fact, you may even get, competing bids for your property. But again, it has to be priced right for the market.
So sticking with housing permits, talk a little bit about the value of the permits and what that means.
So the total dollar value of those 437 permits is up 71% over the first quarter a year ago at just under $138 million. And again, by comparison to that third quarter of 2007, that's the highest we've seen since that quarter, when it was $144 million. And I think the real benefit to that is the property appraiser, we believe, will report shortly in his annual real estate values forum, is that it really speaks well for our local economy. It speaks certainly well for the construction industry, but it speaks well in that Volusia County is attracting new residents to the area. As we know, there's 1,000 or more new residents into the state of Florida every year, and we certainly want to be able to capture our share of that here in Volusia County, and new construction residential is a big part of doing that.
And so where are we then with foreclosures? I know years back foreclosures were a big issue, but it seems to be getting better as far as that's concerned.
Locally it's better, and certainly nationally it's better as well. And I'll just quote a few statistics from CoreLogic, if I might, Joanne. February 2016, the foreclosure inventory nationwide totaled 1.1% of all homes that had a mortgage.
Okay.
By comparison to February of 2015, that was 1.5%, so down 0.4%. The number of homes in some stage of foreclosure nationwide are around 434,000. Still a lot, so it's still a headwind in the economy nationally, but that headwind is shrinking. That number's down from over 570,000 in February of 2015. Unfortunately, the 5 states with the highest number of completed foreclosures, Florida's still at the top, which, though that's a good thing, it reflects that it's still a significant part of the housing market here in the state of Florida, and I believe that's the case locally as well.
All right, let's move on now to commercial construction. Anywhere you drive throughout Volusia County, you see a number of projects that are ongoing. So fill us in on that area.
And I want to make sure I get the number right here, so if you want to indulge me to quote the specifics, for the first quarter there were 48 permits, and the total dollar value of those permits was over $107 million. Interesting, when you put that together with the residential new construction permits, that's over $250 million, $245 million of new construction on the residential plus the commercial piece. City of Daytona Beach led the way on the commercial front with over $70 million, but there are interesting projects taking place throughout the county, starting in Daytona Beach. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, they have $30 million in new construction permits that were issued during the first quarter. But I think generally people are aware that the other private universities, Bethune-Cookman also in Daytona Beach and Stetson University in DeLand, they're in the midst of doing quite a bit of commercial construction as well, whether it's new construction or renovations of some of the existing facilities. Other projects, there's a multi-family dwelling unit that's going up in Daytona Beach Shores. In Ormond, there's several projects. In Deltona, they continue to press forward with retail and commercial projects, and they're looking forward to the day to continue to announce some of their pending large commercial projects on the medical front, life sciences industry.
So all this construction means quite a few number of jobs also, but let's talk about jobs on the whole. How does Volusia County do as far as unemployment rates are concerned?
Well, for the first quarter, the unemployment rate averaged 5.1%, but specifically in the month of March, the unemployment rate was 4.8%. And so we've tucked down below that imaginary, if you will, 5%, which is probably not likely that you'll get too much lower than that, though I do expect that we'll see some percentage unemployment rates through the rest of this year that will in fact come in 4.8, 4.7, 4.6%. We've actually been as low as 3.5% back in that 2006, 2007. As importantly, Joanne, I like to pay attention to the actual number of unemployed. And so for the first quarter, we averaged about 12,200 of unemployment. But again, in the month of March, that number tucked again below below 12,000. And so I'm looking forward to the day when we start sneaking up on 10,000 in terms of the number of unemployed. Still a lot of people, but as we talked about earlier in the construction industry, for the residential or commercial side, and as these commercial projects actually come to fruition, there are jobs that are going to be available that we haven't had, and the Tanger Outlet Mall would be an example of that.
So Rob, Volusia County has hundreds of manufacturing companies here in the county, and they come with a pretty competitive wage. A lot of people don't realize that manufacturing is such a core industry here in our area.
It's a big contributor to our local economy with over 400 manufacturers, and the word career, I think, is the right word to use when you're considering manufacturing. Certainly there are great jobs there, but you can get a progression of jobs and have a great career in manufacturing. And manufacturing industry, as well as professional and business services, management and leadership of companies. I mean, there's some other industry categories that clearly are leaders in our community, and again, offer great career opportunities. And we're pleased that our partner on the workforce side, CareerSource Flagler Volusia, they have made that transition to, as they interact with local residents, to really try to sit down and chart a path forward so that an individual feels like they understand not only what is the immediate opportunity to become employed or to get a more challenging position if they're already employed, but also to have a career that they can look forward over the next 5 or 10 years.
And one of the things that people consider when they move to this area, or businesses relocating, are the wages and if they're going to have a strong workforce. So where does Volusia County fall when it comes to an average annual wage and available workforce?
That's a great question, Joanne. We recently showed to the County Council a trend of annual average wages in Volusia County since 2001. And so it's been consistently up year over year. And in fact, for the data's available, last year the data's available is 2014, it was up 3.2% over the prior year, 2013. So that's the good news. The challenge continues to be that we lag the state of Florida, and so back to your earlier comment about manufacturing and the addition of professional business services and some of our other key industries, I think as we focus on working with companies that don't currently have a position here, it's important that we follow the Council's guidance to continue to find companies that could do well here, but also bring, in addition to job creation opportunities and new capital investment, that they bring wages that will allow us to raise that bar over time.
All right, well, Rob, your division has a wealth of information available. Where can people get more information, and what kind of information do you have on your website?
Yeah, so our website can be accessed through the county's website at volusia.org. You just find the Economic Development tab, and that will take you to our website, which has a different URL, and that's floridabusiness.org. In either case, there's a tab there, Data and Key Reports, and so we have quite a bit of information there. We're talking right now in the office about how we can make that more user-friendly, less clicks to get exactly to what it is that you want. But certainly they can access our website, or if they're not finding what they're looking for, feel free to call our office at 248-8048.
All right, well, great information today, Rob. Rob Ehrhardt, Director of the county's Economic Development Division, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Joanne.
Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you too for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council's meeting calendar there too. In fact, you can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osman. Have a wonderful evening.